Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. And today we're going to have some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. This situation happened about 2 weeks ago. My wife and I met when I was 19, and we fell in love quite quickly. She had a child from a previous relationship. That father hasn't been in the picture since I have known her. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a father. But I had a genetic disorder I don't wish to pass on, so adoption was just great with me. Anyhow, we have been just like your normal family every day since then. We got married last year. She was never super close with her family, but she did have a pair of cousins she was always kind of close to. And I had lots of fun getting to know them, and they seem like decent people. She did mention that one of them, Max, will call him Head, when they were like 12 and 13, tried to hug her, but she ran off. I asked her if she ever told anyone, and she said she chalked it up to him being a stupid kid. We see him on Christmas every year, and he seems like a normal dude. I actually liked him as her family as a bunch of stuffed shirts, and he's down to earth. Recently, they've reconnected and gone to a few family functions. We own one car, and since I needed it for work, he picked her up and drove her to these things. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary about this. They are cousins after all. Her behavior really did not make any obvious changes. However, randomly as I was watching TV one night, she came in and mentioned that I had friended a girl from my place of work. I accepted a friend request. We're a pretty open couple, and things don't usually offend us. For instance, she'll remark on an attractive guy and make some sort of lewd remark, and I think nothing of telling her this woman was a new office. She did not accuse me of cheating, but it felt like she was about to, which has never happened before. The reason I mention this is because I have read cheater accuse their partner as a projection or something. Anyway, these family outings were legit. The whole family posts pics on them on Facebook, and the wife sends pics from the outings. There were 2 of these events, and each time wife came home and was like a robot. Intimacy seemed normal if not quieter than usual, but as she suffers from depression, she often gets cold every so often. And when I asked her if she was doing alright, she chalked it up to that. Well, 2 weeks ago, she leaves for work and it was my day off. I puttered around the house, dropped the boy off at school, and came home to check my email. On Facebook, I saw that I had a message from her cousin. He and I had recently discussed going out to see a farm team baseball game, and I thought he was getting back to me. The message reads, "I would like to see you on your knees." I was confused until I realized that my wife was still signed in, and it was her he was talking to. I wanted to finish him. I instantly rushed and read through their chat log, and it's filled with him creeping on her, and why she is saying things like, "But I'm married," and "No, I'm married." These read like very thin no's, like she is saying no because she has to, not because she wants to. I am disgusted and absolutely floored about it. But since none of them mention anything happening yet, and she is denying him, albeit kindly, I can't exactly say she's cheating. Well, when she gets home and our son is put to bed, I confront her over the situation. She instantly breaks down into hysterics and tears, saying things like, "I did not do anything. I did not know how to tell you. I was just hoping he stopped." Now she and I both suffer childhood abuse from family friends. We have both went to years of therapy for it, and for that reason, we have very good communication skills when it comes to comfort and boundaries, and how to express ourselves about unwanted advances. I love her, and I wanted to believe her, and that he was just being a creep. But the way she did not tell me and acted seemingly normal leads me to believe something else was going on. I told her that I believed her and asked her if I could message him to tell him to back off, and how disgusted I am that they are cousins, or if she would prefer to tell him and handle it herself. She first expressed that she would tell him that I knew and not to call her, but her resolve cracked as she was confident this would just stop. I was furious about that but did not express it, and told her that knowing she wasn't going to, I was going to give him a peace of mind. This is my wife. If she's being harassed, I will end it. And if she's not being harassed, she's cheating on me. So I messaged him. He saw it but made no reply. The wife says, I should have let her handle the situation, and I told her there was no way. I was going to keep quiet in the face of this. She seemed to understand and expressed in the end that I was probably right to confront him because she did not know how. All seemed to return to normal, but 3 days later, I come home and she's crying. I ask her what's wrong, and she said, "It's Max. You should have let me handle it." I messaged him yesterday, and he won't talk to me. We had the conversation again about me not sitting idly by when somebody is harassing my wife. She gave me a look. It wasn't much, and it was only for a second, but it gave me the impression that she did not consider it harassment. We end the discussion in agreement that I handled it how any man would handle it. 2 days later, I'm coming to bed late like 2 a.m. as I was finishing up some work. I hear her on the phone with somebody kind of chuckling. This is not normal. Told me it was her mom and had something to do with our kid's birthday, which I did not buy. But at this point, I have begun playing stupid, so I can observe the situation from a place where she feels comfortable. The next day, she is crying again, and at this point I have really had it. She's been unstable for 2 weeks now. When I ask her if this is about Max again, she says she tried to call and apologize for not handling the situation herself, and that he still is not talking to her. I admit it, I snapped. I told her that either he was abusing her or she was cheating on me, and I caught them. Won the couch tonight, obviously. I wanted to believe her, but I'm not a moron. I'm essentially laying here with my finger on the button waiting for some solid truth, because if this is what it's feeling more and more like, I'm about to go 95,000 megaton nuclear on the both of them. Sorry for the length. I just don't know what I can do from here on out. Edit, thanks for all the input. She goes to work in 6 hours. I will apologize for my outburst and ask her to sit down with me and talk tonight. It's Sunday, and our son typically stays the night with my parents every other Sunday. I am not proud of it, but I feel it's in my best interest to do a snooping. If I find nothing, we will discuss what happened, when it started, what I can do to help her, and what we ought to do moving forward. I love her, and the idea that she is being harassed by somebody who is supposed to love her breaks my heart. However, if I do find something sorted, or learn that she was complicit in any way, I am done with the relationship that instance. I don't believe in marriage counseling in instances of infidelity, and even if I did incest, there's no way I could look at her the same again. Now for the update. Update 1. So I did not sleep at all last night, and when she woke up I made breakfast. I told her I shouldn't have blown up, and that we should probably sit down tonight and talk about things. She agreed like she wasn't even upset to begin with, and said she knew she had probably been acting badly. I told her that the sort of harassment she was dealing with was infinitely more difficult because he is a member of the family. She just seemed to agree with me. I wasn't going to snoop, but so many people on here told me I ought to, and not wanting to be accused of not taking the advice I asked for, I decided to go through with and check her emails. With the way she was acting this morning, I had fewer reasons to be suspicious, but at this point, what the heck, and did just that. The level of disgust, hatred, and anger I feel cannot be expressed right, and there will be a divorce. There was one email entitled Yummy, and upon opening it I found a picture of her cousin with semen on his face. The back and frost are him describing to her his encounters with random bi men. They make reference to past encounters they've had together, complete with one picture of a strap-on stuff caption, "I still have our old friend." Then I read some absolutely disgusting filth talk between them, where she is behaving in a very dominating way and insulting his stuff size. Looking at the dates, I realize that this was from a year ago. As I continue to read, I'm able to figure out, at least from how it reads, that they used to hook up frequently, but stopped after we got married. We were together for several years before we got married. Later she starts using the "I am married" excuse, but it's reading like that's just a kink of his, to be told he can't touch her anymore, which he probably does. I am raising her kid, and she does this to me. I have wasted the last 6 years changing my work schedule and not taking better paying jobs, because I need hours where I am able to watch him. I went outside and sat on the front porch, called my brother over, and after explaining to him the entire situation, asked him to take my gun from me for the time being. I am not a violent person. I never have been, But in the state I am in now, I am fluctuating between wanting to finish him and wanting to finish myself. I am not going to, but I feel like I'm headed for a breakdown and I can't trust I will behave rationally. After this, I am packing up my clothes and checking into a hotel. These conversations have all been printed. I have sent copies to myself, and when I have time I am digging for more dirt. Bought a pack of cigarettes, stopped smoking 4 years ago. Enjoy, I have to make an appointment at some STD clinic, because according to these vile back and forths, a part of his thing is having unprotected intimacy with these men. My soon-to-be ex-wife has a device, and as such I have never once in all these years worn protection with her. So now I apparently have months of biting my nails to look forward to, as I understand AIDS tests take months. I know his work schedule roughly, because I used to work for the same company he does. So maybe before checking in and composing myself, I'm just going to drive down to see his wife, evidence in hand. There's no fixing this, there's no therapy, no hope, nothing positive, and I don't care to even entertain an apology. I'm divorcing the whore, and she will get nothing. I hate life right now. I don't feel depressed or sad. I haven't cried. I just have this hot ball of rage in my chest that the cigarettes only briefly cool. I can't be near her or him. I know I said I'm not violent, but man, I really want to beat the out of both of them. Update 2. Okay, I went to a lawyer initially, and after that I went straight to Max's home, where I spoke with his wife. She was brokenhearted as one might expect, and disgusted over the incest. We sat down for a bit, and I told her also that he was bragging to my wife about how he was having unprotected intimacy with random internet men, and that there were pictures with him with semen on his face that he was sending my wife. She insisted on seeing them despite my advice not to, and she was broken. He was bi and was always found to be chatting up random guys. She said she allowed him to go out every so often and see a man if he felt he had to get it out of his system, as she put it. She was under the impression that he hadn't done this in well over a year. When this was over, I stayed the night in a hotel where I still am and talked with my mother, brother, and father. My mother-in-law called me begging me to come and talk about this, that I must have made some mistake. It's all voicemail, I never picked it up. Wife tried calling me a dozen or so times, I did not answer. She sent no text. I assume she knows I have been documenting things and doesn't want to give me any more ammo. It's what I would do in her place. At the end of the day, I called her and kept it brief, saying I would talk to her the next day. When I eventually came home, she was a warbling mess. She tried to hug me and I told her that's over. She insisted she never cheated on me, and it must have took something the wrong way, and that Max's wife must be spreading these rumors because they hate each other. It is at this point that I realize that my wife thinks I heard about this from someone else. She doesn't know I discovered their affair myself. It's then that I show her the papers. I had the pics of him with semen on his face titled, "Yummy," the picture of a huge strap-on stuff titled, "Our old friend," her speaking to him as if she is some dominatrix type, saying how he has a small stuff and real power play type stuff. At points she was telling him to send he pics of himself after these men were done with him. Real stomach churning things. I'm not a prude either. I engage in a lot of really kinky stuff. So it's not like she's dealing with an uptight hubby who is not open physically and went out for those reasons. But anyway, as soon as she realizes that it was me who discovered this and told Max's wife, she goes from being weepy and sad to explosively angry, complete hysterics. You should have to me first. She's all over everything, telling everyone. This is going to ruin me. You knew she would do this. I told him to stop texting me like that. At that last statement, I absolutely exploded. I told her that I just got done reading a year's worth texts and emails, and not once did she ever tell him to stop. I called her a degenerate, said that we both probably have AIDS now, and she crumpled in on herself. Couldn't respond, just crying hard. Even still, I told her that we were getting divorced. I then called her father and told him to come to my house, because she really shouldn't be alone in that state. I returned to my hotel room and saw that Max's wife had been texting me. She had done some intense digging on her own and found discussions about encounters they had from 2010 on MySpace. She told me early on in our relationship that he once tried to hug her at a young age while they were actually sleeping during a time where MySpace was still widely being used. I will admit it, the seeing it went on that far back was finally what broke me. I am not big on emotional displays, but I broke down crying in front of his wife. She cried too. When that was over, I took her to the lawyer. I am seeing it now. One of his partners will be handling her divorce. Through all this, Max has been panicking and crying, trying to find out where his wife is, trying to talk to me. Still, after all this evidence, trying to ensure this is all some big misunderstanding. It turns out that Max and ex-wife live in a house owned by Max's parents, and they have come down hard against their son, telling him he cannot stay there anymore, and apologizing to their daughter-in-law, and saying she's welcome to stay with their grandchild in that house for as long as she wants. He's basically disowned. Max's father even got it in his head somehow that Max was molesting my wife as a child, and that is why she is doing what she is doing today. She is his favorite niece, basically a second daughter, so Max in effect is on the lam because his old man wants him dead. My father, unprompted and wanting to help me, assured me he'd pay my hotel for the week. Today, I told my boss point blank, no filtered, exactly what's happened, and that I'm taking 2 weeks to sort my life out. He remarked about how his divorce was, and told me to take whatever time I needed bottle fed, and that he'll just tell everyone on the floor I've got a sick parent or something, which was sweet of him. Lying down in my hotel room now, missing a stepson I will probably never see again. I raised him for 6 years, changed his diapers, bottle fed him at 3 a.m., took time out of work when he was sick, waited on him hand and foot after a nasty fall that broke his arm, so his mother could sleep because she was working in the morning. The rest of this world could burn away to ash, and I wouldn't blink or care. But the thought of never seeing him again rips away at me like nothing else. I need therapy. Gonna take a lot of talking to get through this. I'm not a suicide risk, so no worries there. I'm an atheist, so this is the only life I got if I ended, that's it, law. Talk to my lawyer on the phone later, and we'll be meeting up with Max's wife again, because apparently there's more I don't know. Got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and then 6 months of waiting for results. Thanks for the support, everyone. If more develops, I will do another update. Edit 1. My stepson is not a product of incest. He and his bio father look exactly alike, and he had to take a paternity test to establish child support. When it was established he was the father, he vanished and has only been heard from once in the last 4 years. Haven't spoken to Max, but have got nothing to say to him that would be productive. They were definitely having intimacy, as her little Dom played her saying things like she barely felt anything. I don't get why anyone would want to hear they have a small stuff, but it comes up so often it had to be his thing or her thing. It was a common theme. The intimacy was probably unprotected. I don't for certain. All I know is I in my entire history with her never once wore one. She touted her IUD as the reason I did not have to. I don't know if the gaps in dates mean they weren't seeing each other during those times, or they switched communication methods. There's gaps of months, and even a year in places. It's not just creepy either. In what a significant other is reading, there are lots of I love yous and emotional things. I emailed all this stuff to myself. No mandated separation. I want to give it a week before I decide how I am going about this in regard to the boy, get a feel for where she's at regarding this before I proceed with filing for divorce. The divorce is happening, I just need to decide how I'm gonna go with this. She's well aware that it's over, she knows well, and I have expressed that I do not tolerate infidelity, a slip-up, a mistake, and it's over. I believe in forgiveness for nearly everything except this. We rent, I have no interest in staying there, she can have it for all I care, and I have been driving the same car I had since before we were dating, so she's got no say in that. No sleep last night, gonna be a fun day. Edit 2. I sat down with her for a long time and discussed pretty much all this. The reasons don't matter, and they won't change the results, but I guess I love hurting myself, because I wanted to know what was up. No screaming, no accusations. I just wanted to know what I was looking at, and if things were, I thought, and how you apparently think. They have been at it for forever. She's ended it a couple times in the last 10 years, but always ends up calling him. No idea if she's covering for him, But according to her, she loves him, and they would have run off back in high school. But he seems content with using her as a side piece. It's as you say, when I cut them off, she lost it. She did not say as much, but I guess what happened is that he said it's over to her that he is a kid now, and that eventually they'd be discovered. His wife was beginning to suspect things anyhow, and my wife mentioned she used to make proddy statements like, "Man, it's like you guys are dating." And one time they were meeting up, his wife went off on him, because apparently he was supposed to take her out, and yelled, "Fine, marry your cousin." But his wife doesn't work, which is why I think she saw this better than I did. I will be doing a proper update soon if for no other reason than it helps me work out my own thoughts. But 2 points of good news in the sea of shit. Number 1, my rapid test for HIV came back negative. Still getting a test months from now as a follow, but for now it's looking good. Number 2, the soon-to-be ex-wife and I agreed on weekend visitation for me, with her telling me that she couldn't take me away from him. There's not really anything in the way to divide between us, so she doesn't plan on getting a lawyer of her own. We don't have joint accounts. Next week we're actually driving down to the sheriff's office, so I can file the papers and have her served right then. I want this over with quickly.